Welcome, everybody. I am Emily Wilson-Tobin, for those who don't know me, and I wanted to give you a quick introduction to what you're about to see. We're very excited to be sharing a selection from Oedipus the King with you. It is part of a script that was adapted by Bryan Doerries of Theater of War. And I'd like to just read to you what Theater of War is before I say more. Theater of War Productions works with leading film, theater, and television actors to present dramatic readings of seminal plays, from classical Greek tragedies to modern and contemporary works, followed by town hall style discussions designed to confront social issues by drawing out raw and personal reactions to themes highlighted in the plays. The guided discussions underscore how the plays resonate with contemporary audiences and invite audience members to share their perspectives and experiences, and helping to break down stigmas, foster empathy, compassion, and a deeper understanding of complex issues. So I first encountered the work of Theater of War in the beginning of the pandemic in our country last March, when they did a Zoom performance of the play, a piece of which you're about to see. And that discussion, the talkback that followed their performance, was through the lens of the pandemic. And I found it very powerful and interesting, and a new way, exciting way to experience an ancient play like this. And I reached out to Bryan Doerries, the artistic director and the person who has created this version of the play, translated this version of the play, and asked his permission to use a piece of the script. And he very graciously responded immediately and said, of course you may use it, and I'm not going to charge you for it. So I'd like to thank him first. I'd also like to thank Abby Webster, who appears as a chorus member in this show, for her very fine work as a choreographer and movement director. This was all her idea, and I'm really pleased with the work she has done. And you'll note throughout the piece that she has added some movement for the chorus, and it's really cool stuff. So she deserves a lot of credit for that. So I also wanted to talk to you about the themes in the show and tell you a little bit about what's happening in the play. At the beginning of the play, we learn that there is a terrible plague that is killing the citizens of Thebes, and that something must be done to stop it, or it will continue to happen. And so Oedipus, the king of Thebes, is trying to sort that out at the beginning of the play. And for those of you who are not familiar with the story of Oedipus, he does not yet know that he has done something unimaginable. He has killed his own father, married his mother, and had children with his own mother. And that is why the plague is happening in Thebes, but he does not know that yet. So it's important, because we're not going to be showing you the whole play, that you know that about the story. And the themes that we're hoping you'll think about as you watch today are power, how we use it; justice, how it is pursued and achieved; denial and blindness, and what it means to see; and then coming to terms with our own roles and acknowledging our place in times of injustice and crisis, and how all of that has played out for you and for those who have been in positions of power and leadership over the past year, years before that, and how that continues to play out on the world stage. A couple more notes. You will see several characters in addition to the chorus today: Oedipus the king. You'll see a priest who's really the voice of the people. You're going to see Creon, who's Oedipus's brother-in-law, and you're going to see Tiresias, who is a holy seer and who is also blind. There are also a number of people playing the chorus, and they represent citizens of Thebes and other characters. Unfortunately, one of our actors was not able to be here today, so I will be reading in for Chisom, just my voice. You will not see my face when I read in for her. And you will also note probably that I have cast women in the lead roles. And I will leave that up to you to interpret as you see fit, as I've left it up to the actors to decide what that means to have women playing roles that are traditionally or were written for men, really. One more thing, you'll notice I am masked. That is because I am in the theater right now. We are doing a big tech load in to prepare for our in-person performances next weekend, but the actors are at home, so they will not be wearing masks and you'll be able to see their wonderful faces. Okay, without further ado, here is an excerpt from Oedipus the King.
Children of Thebes, why are you here, kneeling with wreaths at my feet, as the city air thickens with songs and smoke, incense and hymns drifting low over lamentations and groans? It would have been wrong, my children, to somehow hear this from others. That is why I, Oedipus, whose legend is known throughout the land, have come to hear it from you. Rise, old priest, and speak for the rest, as is your right by seniority. Has some sudden terror or unforeseen fear sent you scurrying here? Rest assured I will do whatever I can to help, for I would truly be callous if I felt nothing for men like you, bending in supplication in front of the palace steps.
Oedipus, our king, you see beggars of all ages huddled at your altars, boys too young to walk on their own, feeble old men hunched over with age, unmarried youths selected to serve, and priests of Thebes, of which I am one. Many others are now gathered in the center of the city, bearing branches at the temple of Athena, or on the banks of the river Isthmus, near the oracular ashes, where Apollo speaks in riddles through the smoke. Look, and you will see a storm-battered city, drowning in an ocean of blood, no longer able to lift her head above the cresting waves. A savage pestilence has ravaged the land, killing the cattle and the crops. Our women die in labor, delivering shriveled little corpses as the hateful plague spreads like a raging wildfire, devouring the city without mercy, emptying homes and filling the streets with moans and wailing and heaps of rotting bodies, while death-rich Hades makes off with the shades. We who kneel at your feet do not pray to you as a god, but as the best of men, which you have shown through your actions and your dealings with the divine. You came to our city, and without guidance or advice, released us from the deadly tribute we had long been paying that unsparing singer, the bloodthirsty Sphinx. You lifted us back up, restoring our hope, answering our prayers. Surely this was done with the help of a god. We come again, Oedipus, vulnerable and weak, bowing our heads to ask for your protection. Use your unmatchable strength to save us from this plague. Maybe you received a message from a god, or even some man, perhaps a counselor who advises you during times of crisis. Tell us what you know. Lift up the city again, best of men. We still call you savior because of past actions. Don't let the present calamity strip you of your rightful title. Ensure that you are remembered for all time as a great leader, not as one who helped us stand, only to let us fall. You started this, now finish the story. Put us back on the path to health and prosperity. Years ago, you arrived like an auspicious omen, reversing our fortune in an instant. Do it again, Oedipus. Rule our land, as is your right, but preside over the living, not the dead. For if you continue down the current path, there will soon be no one left to rule. A city, like a ship, is nothing without men within its walls.
Children, I am sorry. I know, how could I not have known what brought you here? Sick as you are, none of you is sicker than I. Your pain is singular, contained. Each of you must suffer on his own. But my soul aches for the whole city, for you and for me. No, you did not wake me from slumber. It is hard to sleep when you have been weeping and your mind is reeling, exploring every angle, searching for a solution. Alone with my thoughts for many long nights, I did the only thing that seemed reasonable. I sent my brother-in-law, Creon, to Delphi, to ask the oracle what I must say or do to save the city. But too many days have now passed since he set out, and I'm starting to worry that something has happened on the road home. It is not like him to be late. But when he finally arrives, I would be a weak leader if I did not follow the god's orders.
What timing? Those men just waved to say that Creon has crested the hill.
Lord Creon, my brother, my friend, what message do you bring us from the god?
A favorable one, for even news that is at first hard to hear can prove auspicious as long as it all works out in the end.
Your words fill me with neither fear nor relief. What exactly did he say?
I could say it here in front of these men if you'd like, or perhaps we could go inside.
Say it now in front of us all. Their lives mean more to me than mine.
Here is what I heard the oracle say, as clearly as I am speaking to you now. Apollo commands us to excise a vile pollution from our land, a metastasizing cancer that we have long harbored unwittingly for many years, nurturing and feeding it like a growing fetus while it made us all sick. We must stop the contamination from spreading any further, or our city will never be cured.
And how do we treat the disease? What remedy or ritual will cleanse the city of this vile pollution?
By exile or execution, we must expiate the murder that brought this bloodstorm upon us.
Who was murdered and by whom?
Before you arrived and saved the city, a king named Laius ruled this land.
I know. I had heard of him, but never saw him.
He was murdered, left to die in the dirt, and now the god commands us in no uncertain terms to punish those who killed him, no matter who they are.
But how on earth will we find them? The crime took place so long ago, the evidence has grown cold.
Apollo said to look in Thebes. What we seek will be found, what we ignore will evade our eyes.
Did anyone witness the crime, whom we could question? Perhaps one of his fellow travelers.
Only one survived, and he was so shaken by what he had seen that he said very little.
What did he say? Even something small or seemingly insignificant could put us on the path to learning more.
He said that Laius died not at the hand of one, but at the hands of many, highwaymen who ambushed them from all sides.
But why would a highwayman dare to kill a king? Unless, of course, he was hired and paid by someone here in Thebes.
The thought had certainly crossed our minds, but after Laius died, we were leaderless and lost, with no one to help us deal with our then present problems.
I don't understand. Your king was dead. What problems kept you from mounting a full investigation into his murder?
The riddling Sphinx forced us to focus on what was right in front of us instead of what lay behind us in the shadows.
Then I will shine a light into the darkness of the past, illuminate it all. Apollo is right, and so are you, to show such concern for the murdered king. I will now join you in the struggle for justice, and once again stand up for the city of Thebes, as the god commands. I will purge us of the vile pollution, not on behalf of some distant relation, but selfishly, on my own behalf, for whoever killed Laius may one day try to kill me. By defending him, I protect myself. Come, children, rise quickly and remove your branches and wreaths. Someone go gather the people of Thebes, knowing that I will do everything in my power to solve this mystery and uncover the truth. With the gods' help, we will either succeed, or we will all perish.
Stand up, children. We've heard the words we came for. Now it's up to the god, the one who sent the prophecy, to save us from the plague.
Sweet word of God, which drafts up in vapors from the darkest depths into the Pythian priestess who sits on earth's navel, breathing in the fumes and exhaling your will in riddles that sail down the wind from golden Delphi to glorious Thebes.
I'm trembling with terror, reeling with fear. Lord Apollo, Telian healer, I now bow before your awe-inspiring power.
What do you have in store for us, and when will it end? What must we do to appease your anger?
A single sacrifice or year-round rituals in your honor?
Tell me, eternal oracle, offspring of golden hope.
I call upon Athena, daughter of Zeus, and her sister Artemis, well known throughout Thebes, who watches over us all from her throne above the city.
I call upon Apollo, the archer, whose arrows never miss.
All three appear and protect me from death, as you have in the past, when annihilation seemed almost certain. You came at last to extinguish the flames just before they swallowed the city.
Come to us again.
This suffering beyond measure.
The people of Thebes are sick and can find no words to cure the disease, nor scalpel nor sword that will halt its progression.
The crops wither and the fields grow fallow.
Our women cry out, straining under the relentless pain of labor, but never give birth.
The people are dying.
You can see them dropping here and there, faster than a ravenous fire, plummeting like wide-winged birds from the sky to the distant shores of Haiti, land of gloom and shadows.
Immeasurable death.
Overwhelms the city.
The corpses of children lie rotting in the streets, unburied, with no one left to mourn them or tend to their bodies, while white-haired widows and young mothers gather round altars, groaning and wailing and begging for an end to their endless suffering.
Hymns to the healer can be heard throughout the city over shrieks of grief and weeping.
Please, Athena, daughter of Zeus, fill us with hope, deliver us from death.
I call out to Ares, the savage god of war, who attacks innocent civilians without swords or shields, scorching the earth around us, burning us back to ashes. Leave our land and abandon your assault upon this city for open waters in the west or the ragged cliffs and exposed coves of Thrace.
Those who are spared by night, he stalks and kills by the light of day. I call upon Zeus, father of all, destroy him from above with the blazing bolt of lightning.
Call out to Apollo, rain down arrows with your golden bow. Defend me from death.
I call upon Artemis, light up the sky with your blazing flame. I call out to Bacchus, god of women and wine, after whom this land was named, who wears the rainbow headdress and is worshipped the static cries of raving maenads, dancing in the hills. Come to my aid with your torch made of pine. Go to war with the war god, merciless Ares who holds no honor amongst immortals.
You have made a request. With regard to your request, if you are willing to listen and do as I say, adhering to the treatment that I will now prescribe for the disease, then you may soon be saved, relieved of your suffering. I will speak these words as a stranger to the crime and the story that surrounds it. Also, without evidence or something small to go on, it would have been impossible, even at the time when it happened, to properly investigate the murder. Be that as it may, I arrived and became a citizen of Thebes only after the fact. And so I call upon you, my fellow citizens, descendants of Cadmus, whoever knows what happened to King Elias on that fateful day, who killed him and how he came to die, step forward and reveal the truth to me. If you are afraid to speak, worried that you might somehow incriminate yourself and become your own executioner, know this. If you speak, no violence will be brought upon you. If you step forward now, you have my word. You will be allowed to leave Thebes in peace, without so much as a scratch. Or if one of you knows the culprit to be a foreigner, a stranger from another land, tell me his name, and I will show you how I reward honesty with gratitude and ample compensation. But if If one of you knows and refuses to break the silence, rejecting the offer now waiting on the table in order to protect a relative, a friend, or even yourself, listen closely and hear how I will deal with you. I hereby proclaim that no one living within this land over which I rule as sovereign king will house you, or speak to you, or so much as look in your direction. You no longer exist. You may not join us in prayers or make sacrifices to the gods or cleanse yourself with holy water. You will be evicted from our homes and routed out of the city as the source of our festering infection, which the oracle has just made known to us. This is how I will honor the god and defend the man whom you murdered, struggling alongside them both for justice. I now curse the murderer, whoever he may be, a lone man or a band of conspirators. I also curse myself. If I have somehow harbored the criminal within my home, unwittingly, may I then be treated no differently than any of you. I command you to obey this decree not only on my behalf, but for Apollo and the city, which has been brought to its knees begging for mercy by an angry god, exacting his wrath upon our people. It's the right thing to do. Even if the oracle had not spoken, it was wrong of you to leave the murder unsolved. You should have hunted the killer down and brought him to justice. The blood of your king demands it. But now that I sit on the throne where he once sat, enjoying his power as well as his wife, who has borne me beautiful children, I see that had he been luckier with regard to his offspring, and had he not been taken down by fate, our children would have shared a mother. In this respect, I regard him as my father and shall fight for him as such, leaving no stone unturned in my tireless search for his murderer. For those who refuse to heed my words, I invoke this curse. May your crops dry up and die, and your women's wombs be barren forever, and may you all be erased from this earth by the hateful plague or something worse. But for those who obey and approve of my actions, may justice remain on our side, and the gods look favorably upon us forever.
I will speak since you have cursed me if I don't. I did not kill King Laius, nor do I know who did, but it seems to me that the search for the murderer should fall to the god who sent us the prophecy.
Fair enough. But no man can force the gods to act if they're not willing.
Then I suggest another approach.
As many as you'd like. Speak and don't hold back.
The one with the greatest insight into what Apollo sees and says is Tiresias. If you ask for his help, he might pull back the veil and illuminate the truth.
Rest assured I haven't been sitting on my hands. At Creon's urging, I already sent for him, but I must admit it's taking far longer than I expected for him to appear.
Here comes the one who will name him. The holy seer Tiresias, in whom the gods have imbued the truth, is now being led this way.
Tiresias, you who perceive all things that which can be understood by the human mind, and that which is beyond our comprehension, things in the heavens and things on earth, you who are blind, but see our present troubles clearly and know how terribly the people suffer, ravaged by this awful pestilence, you are our protector, our savior, our only hope for survival. If, by chance, you haven't heard the news from one of our messengers, we sent for word from Apollo. Here is what he sent us in return. Until we track down the men who long ago killed Laius, and either execute them or expel them from Thebes, we will never find relief from this disease. Speak freely. Tell us all that you know from consulting the birds or any other method of divining the future that you have mastered. Save yourself and the city. Save me. Save us all from the foul pollution spreading from the dead man's corpse. We are in your hands. The noblest calling is to help others in need with your gifts.
Ah, how terrible it is to know when, in the end, knowing gains you nothing. I knew this once, but must have somehow forgotten, or else I never would have come.
What is the matter? Why the heavy heart?
Send me home. Dispatch me from this place. It will be easier that way. You can bear your burden, and I mine.
That would not only be against the law, but hostile to the city that has nourished and cared for you all these years, since you would be concealing what you know.
Because I see that your words will lead us down the wrong road and do not wish to follow you there.
If you know something, please, by the gods, we are begging on our knees. Do not turn your back on us.
You know nothing. I will never reveal the riddles within me or the evil within you.
What did you just say? You know, but refuse to speak, and would rather betray us and leave Thebes in ruins.
I refuse to inflict pain upon myself by inflicting it on you. Your questions are useless, and you will learn nothing from continuing to question me.
Worst of the worst, vilest of the vile, you could provoke a lifeless stone to lose its temper. Will you never speak? Or would you prefer to be seen as obstinate and without feelings?
Say what you will about me or my temper, but you are the one unaware of the one with which you live.
Who could listen to your brazen insult and your outright contempt for the city and not be enraged?
It will all unfold on its own, even if I remain silent.
Then why not tell me all that you know?
I will say nothing else. Therefore, feel free to spew all your vitriol and rage in my direction.
Fine, I will. I am so furious that I will now say everything on my mind. I believe that you were responsible for Laius' murder. You planned it, and while you may not have strangled him with your hands, make no mistake, they are stained with his blood. If you weren't blind, I would say you did it on your own.
And I say that you should obey your own decree, and from this moment forward turn away from me and these people, and never speak to us again, since you are the unholy contagion plaguing this land.
How shameful it is for a man of your stature to tell lies and fabricate stories. Do you actually believe that you'll get away with it?
I already have, for the power of truth resides within me.
And from whom did you learn this? Certainly it wasn't derived from consulting the birds.
From you, who made me speak against my will.
Say it again. I want to hear it clearly.
Did you not hear what I said the first time? Or are you just trying to trap me?
I didn't catch it all. Speak. Say it again.
I say that you are the murderer from whom you are searching.
You will not say that twice and walk away unscathed.
Would you like me to say more to feed your rage?
Say whatever you'd like. Your words mean nothing to me now.
I say you are living in shameful relation with your closest kin, but do not know it. You cannot see the evil that lies within your own home.
Do you really think you can continue to spew such filth with immunity?
Yes, the truth is strong enough to protect me.
That much is true, but you know nothing of the truth, since you are blind in your ears, blind in your eyes, blind in your mind.
How sad. All of these insulting words will soon be spoken about you by your people.
Since you dwell in the darkness of permanent night, no man who sees the light of day will ever be damaged by you.
It is not your fate to fall because of me. Apollo will take care of that.
Whose idea was it to make these shameful accusations? Was it yours, Creon's, or perhaps someone else's?
Creon is not your enemy. You are.
Wealth, power, unsurpassed skill, these are things that men like you always envy, harboring hatred for those who wear the crown. I did not ask for it. It was given to me freely by the people of Thebes as a gift. And now Creon, my loyal friend from the very beginning, has hatched a secret plan to expel me from office, all the while desiring it for himself. He is the one who sent this snake oil salesman, this so-called expert, this psychic, an assassin in beggar's clothes who can see plainly enough when it comes to making a profit, but is bankrupt and blind when it comes to his craft. Tell me, Tiresias, if you are truly a prophet, where were you when the savage Sphinx was attacking these people? Why didn't you simply answer her riddle and liberate the city from her terror? If you are so wise, why were you so quiet? The riddle required real vision and insight, and in your silence you were shown to be lacking in both. It's all a scam. You know nothing about interpreting birds, let alone the will of gods. It was I, Oedipus, who supposedly knows nothing, who arrived here and immediately stopped the Sphinx, using reason and wit to answer her riddle. I had no help from your feathered friends. And now you wish to throw me from the throne, hoping to stand closest to Creon when he wears the crown. You and your co-conspirator, I think, will soon lament the day you concocted the plan to drive the pollution from this land. And if you weren't such a silly, senile old man, you would have already learned the danger of your behavior by suffering gravely on account of it.
It seems, Oedipus, that you have both spoken out in anger.
This is not what the city needs. Instead, we should all be investigating the god's prophecy and how best to fulfill it.
Though you are king, we remain equal in at least one respect. The power to refute accusations, word, for I am not your slave, nor do I serve Creon as you suggest. I answer to Loxias Apollo, who is my only master. Since you have made light of my blindness, I say that you are the one who is blind. You cannot see the evil that surrounds you, the iniquity that lies within your own home, or the identity of the person with whom you live. Do you even know where you came from, or the names of your parents? You are an enemy to your own, above and below the earth, and you don't know it. The dreadful, double-edged curse of your mother and father will one day send you stumbling from this land. You may see the light now, but you will soon be pitched into utter darkness. And on that day, the day when you finally discover the truth about your marriage, that profane harbor into which you once sailed strong, steady on winds, your shrieking and bellowing will be heard throughout the world, echoing and reverberating over the peaks of Mount Kithaeron. There are even more horrors on the horizon for you and your family, unimaginable evils that will wipe out your entire line, destroying you along with your children. So, feel free to continue slandering me and Creon for the things I have said. You will be ground down to a powder, and no man will suffer as savagely as you.
That's it. I'm done. I can no longer stand the sound of this man's blathering. Leave. Go. Stumble away from my home, back to where you came from, and die.
Had you not called for me, I never would have come.
Had I known how stupidly you would speak, I never would have sent for you.
Maybe I am stupid, as you say, but your parents, the ones who gave you life, thought me wise.
Wait. What do you mean? Who are my parents?
This day will birth you and destroy you.
You speak only in riddles, purposely obscuring your meaning.
Are you not an expert in answering riddles?
Keep trying to provoke me, and you will see what makes me great.
Your greatness will destroy you.
Small price to pay for saving the city.
Then I will go.
You have been nothing but a headache since you came, and I will be relieved to see you go.
I am going, but not before saying one last thing, which I shall speak without fear, because you are not the man who will destroy me. The man you've been searching for, tracking him down and riding him out with threats, curses, and proclamations, the one who killed King Laius, he is here now in Thebes. He is known as an outsider who came from another country, but it will soon be revealed that he is actually Theban by birth, but he will find no comfort in this discovery. Once wealthy and powerful, he will wander the open roads like a blind beggar, groping in the darkness, scratching his way around in the dirt with a stick. And he will soon discover himself to be both father and brother to his own children, husband and son to the woman who bore him, murderer and wife defiler to his father. Go inside, think it over. And if you find that I am wrong, tell everyone I'm a blind old fool whose prophecies mean nothing.
Who is the culprit? The oracle has just condemned from the rocky depths of Delphi. the one who stained his hands with the unnameable crime.
It is time for him to run on foot, faster than a stallion outrunning a thunderstorm, for Apollo, son of Zeus, hunts him from above, armed with fiery lightning bolts as the avenging spirits of death, who never fail to catch their prey, follow close on the murderer's heels.
The word of Apollo flared out from the snow-capped peaks of Parnassus, commanding us all to track the killer down.
But he moves undetected through thick-wooded forests, over mountains, and through subterranean caves, limping pitifully like a wounded bull, dragging a lame foot, attempting to escape the inescapable prophecies spewing up from the center of the earth, swarming round him on all sides.
I am terrified of the blind seer's words, disoriented and shaken to my core.
I am speechless, unable to see in front of me or dismiss what I have just heard.
My heart flutters with secret fears and waning hopes.
I am unable to see in front of me or behind.
I've never heard of any altercation erupting between Laius and Oedipus.
And I refuse to pollute Oedipus's impeccable reputation with unsubstantiated rumors in the name of avenging the unresolved murder.
While it is true that Apollo and Zeus can see into the lives of mortals and know what will happen, I am not so sure that every man who calls himself a seer has the gift of sight, or knows more than I do about the future.
While I freely admit that it is possible for one man to be wiser than others, I will not join the dissenters now attacking Oedipus or undermine our king, until I see proof that the terrible things just spoken by the seer have all come true.
With my own eyes, I saw him stand down the savage Sphinx as she sprang ravenously toward him.
He defeated her that day with only a few words.
We all called him wise and offered up the city in which, we said, his name would always be celebrated.
So forgive me if I find it hard to believe that he has committed this heinous crime.
And that's where we'll stop our selection today. If I could briefly ask all of the performers to make themselves visible, turn their cameras on, please. Yay. I hope at home you are giving them a very big round of applause. This is quite an achievement. They've done wonderful work. And while in a theater of war production, this would be followed by a conversation. We're not going to have that now, but we hope that you'll do some thinking and some talking with other folks who have experienced this. And we thank you all for our time.